On this week's episode, Game of Thrones Limited Edition Talisker Select Reserve. Wow. Welcome to KillCo Whiskey Musings. My name is Brian. If you happen to have this whiskey, I hope you'll join me in this tasting experience. If not, please pour one of your favorite whiskeys, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Now, this bottle we have the Kraken House Greyjoy. We do not sow. I don't really know what kind of accent House Greyjoy has, but this feels appropriate. So funny enough, Whiskey Tribe did a video about some Talisker products last weekend? Recently. I'll link that up here. So it's very coincidental that this happened, and I am looking forward to it, and oh my gosh, look at that color. That is beauty. Do I immediately think they added coloring? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do I know if they did? No, I don't. No, I don't. Again, Talisker Select Reserve, no age statement, single malt Scotch whiskey, and 45.8%. So this is the highest one so far out of the recent Scotch videos I've been doing on the Game of Thrones stuff. Wait till you see next week's. Oh yeah. Now I am making this video in advance, which I really need to do more often. What's funny about this moment in time is when this video goes live, I will be in the middle of a dry week. So cheers to dry week. If you're not taking one, don't worry about it. I take one every quarter with the Whiskey Tribe / Whiskey Vault, and because of that, just pouring a little extra this time. This is becoming a theme, isn't it? When we begin with the color. This looks nice. The appearance of this, I would say, is gold. Clarity is clear. Sediments are no. And the viscosity, legs, yeah. Yeah. Let's say, I want to say 2.5, but we'll say 3. Pleasant news. I got a whiff of this when I was moving the glass around just now, and it does have a little bit of that peaty. Oh, so good. I'm really looking forward to this because, as I said, the Whiskey Tribe did a video about Talisker products, and it made me very curious. And I was actually very pleased that I realized this is one of those. It's not an age statement, but it's nice to just try kind of default stuff, which I'm assuming this is. More on that later, maybe. Begin nosing technique. Oh yeah. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh. Oh, this has a kind of weird peat. Now, to me, this is not a lot, but it's very obvious that there's some peating stuff going on. Ooh, wait a minute. I guess we'll have to figure that out later. I'm not sure if this is a Speyside, or a Highland, or a Campbelltown. Leaning towards Campbelltown, but I don't know. Could be an island. I don't know. Alright, so, I'm getting peat notes. A little bit, but they're these fruity apple sort of peat, which I enjoy quite a bit. There is something in here I don't like about it, and I've had this happen with other slightly peated scotches. There's this, I just did that, there's a certain smell that makes my nose scrunch up, and I'm not a fan. It's almost as if there's some kind of nail polish going through the middle of it. I am getting a bit of, I can't quite place if it's campfire, or after a camp's been out for a bit, or that smell of a campfire in your clothes. So many different things that it seems like. There's also something a little mossy about it. A little green. This is actually quite a pleasant surprise as far as the nose. I wasn't really sure. I just kind of thought it might be a little peated, which it is. But I wasn't expecting this fruity, campfire-y combo we got going on. Again, with that little thread of meh. But that seems to be fading in just the few minutes I've had this glass in my hand. Is this out of pine tree and pine cone? Right, all right. Yeah, there's something a little pine note about it. Good job, brain. I do want to also say it is reminding me of Pine Sol, slightly. And if you don't know what that is, it's just a pine-scented cleaning solution. I don't even know if it's still made anymore. I mean, really, when was the last time I thought about Pine Sol until just now? There are other fruits in here, but I'm having difficulty trying to pick them out because suddenly this pine note is in the way, along with this slight peatiness. It's very slight. It's not a heavy kind of peat. It's a different thing. It's actually reminding me of a Connemara kind of peat, so an Irish peat rather than a Scottish peat. All right, I've been living in the nose for a little while. Let's move on to phase 2 of our nosing experience. The intensity on this is somewhere between a 3 and a 4. I'm leaning towards 3. I did get like a little whiff of it when I was pouring it, but that is also because it is slightly peated, and that tends to carry. Age, we're dealing with Scotch. I don't know if this is 10 years old, and I feel for a Scotch that's still fairly young. So I will say Youthful. Barrel very likely used up because it's Scotch, and that's how they do things over there. Grain is malted barley because it says single malt on it. Look at all the things we've learned. Will I remember that same thing tomorrow? Probably not. Smoke. 2. I can't say light. It would take a little bit more, punch for it to be a 3. But it is nice to say, yes, there is smoke on this for once. Ah, okay, spice. Now that I'm seeing the words, it's like, oh yeah, duh. Clove is in here. I'm not getting mint or anything, but I did get pine. I don't know if that would be in spices, but it was a surprise. Maybe even a slight cinnamon, or something like cinnamon. All right, I'm going to get hung up on the spices for a while. Damn it. Just stick with clove. I don't want to get lost in all these. Sweet. There are some sweet smells. Cereal sticks out, specifically, as I look at these. I want to say vanilla, but it's akin to vanilla extract. Floral pine. There we go. There's a pine floralness to this. Wine, I'm not getting any wine notes, but as we've said, many videos, not a wine person. Couldn't tell one from the other than red, white, and rosé, and even that is a bit of a stretch. Fruit, I said apple, and as I'm smelling this, possibly a little bit of lemon. Ooh, sulfur, here we go. I don't get to go over these much because I'm reviewing so many bourbons lately. So, sulfur, yay. I'm torn between saying eraser or rubber. Maybe even matchbook. The whole, putting out a match smell. There's a little bit of that in here. Peat. Iodine immediately jumped out, and I don't know if that's because of the first thing I read or because that's very apparent on this. Campfire. Medicinal. And these are all very light. They're in here, but they're light. They're not aggressive like Lefroy Grenardbeg would be. I also want to say Band-Aid, and I'm wondering if that's just tying in with what I said earlier with the eraser note. Fun. Don't get to go over those ones very much. That was a nice change of pace. Earth. Moss. I did say moss. And there might be a bit of brine to this one. Appropriate, Talisker. Appropriate for your House Greyjoy and Kraken. To the Kraken. As I say in this moment, for your first sip of whiskey, take a sip. Try very hard not to think about it. When you're doing a tasting experience, for me at least, it's incredibly hard for me not to just go into what is this. The initial sip for me is just to adapt to the alcohol in my system. I didn't get the Bernie burn here, for instance, so that was a bit of a surprise. And do a little whiskey zen and enjoy the moment. Our next sip, we leave it on the palate briefly and try to analyze slightly. Oof. Oh, that's pretty good. I would love to try the age statements of this. This is right in the Highland Park / Glenfiddich Fire and Cane area of my brain. Those are the two scotches I've had in the past that are slightly peated that are reminding me of this. And I did mention the Connemara, but as far as the taste is not the same. It's actually not very sweet. And it's a little dry. Like the initial thing that happens is you get this touch of sweetness, a little bit of the peat notes. It dries out your tongue. And there's a little pepperiness. Not much, just a little. And that just kind of hangs around for a bit. It's got a noticeable dry finish. I'm just talking away and it's still dry. Yeah, there's a little bit of an initial sweetness. No fruit notes. I'm tempted to say vanilla, but I don't feel like that's it. Oh, okay. So, man, I'm about to prove myself to be a basic bit. Starbucks. It was reminding me of something that comes out every time this year. I get something called an Irish cream cold brew. They have this sweetened cream stuff on the top, and it is making me think of that. So it's not strictly vanilla, and it's a little bit creamy, and I really like getting it all the time. And it may even include a little bit of the bitterness because of the coffee. So there we go. See, my brain in smells and taste, it makes sense. Yeah, this isn't half bad. This is an introductory peated scotch. However, I should say it might be too much for some people. Just because of the dry note, it's a little spicy. I don't know if the proof would bother someone. It is a little higher than 40%, so it's not what I would say introductory. And my worry is this might be just too much of a jump for those who are just starting out. Palate to phase 2, flavor. So salty, sweet, bitter, umami for flavor. I'm allowed to pick more than one, leave me alone. Proof 2, body. 3 of the body on this is fairly nice. And the texture, I suppose I will say it's a little bit sharp. Spicy is what popped up, as if it were a light hot sauce, if you know what I mean, like a Cholula. And it's not quite as spicy, but it does have that like prickly, peppery thing that is apparent throughout the taste. And then very dry at the end. Balance does any element dominate? Dry. The dry note shows up in the middle and then just sticks. And it just stays. Speaking of the finish, 4. This is not an incredibly long finish, but every time I stop to talk, I am well aware that the middle area of my tongue was just going, drink some water, please. That was attractive. Oh, complexity. Oh, that feels so subjective when I say it sometimes. 4. I want to lean towards 3, but I will say 4. It is not overly complicated, but there are plenty of things to go through in here because it is this sweet, peppery, slightly peated, lovely little whiskey. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not the most amazing peated Scotch I've ever had, but I'm enjoying this. Now, some of you may remember that I had mentioned in a previous video that some of these bottle options didn't quite line up with the house. See last week's episode. This one, on the other hand, I think they pretty much hit the nail on the head. Their slogan here is Talisker Made by the Sea. And once again, we find ourselves on malts.com. Why this is so popular for so many scotches, I don't know, but I'm glad to have the info. Talisker Made by the Sea. From rugged coastlines and wild storms to warming rays of sunshine and cloudless skies, the Isle of Skye flows through our veins and invigorates our souls. Unpredictable elements meet unadulterated beauty to create Talisker's single malt Scotch whisky. A whisky that is as wild, as raw, and yet refined as the island itself. I don't know what's happened with the accent here, but I kind of like it. Unfortunately, they do not show a Talisker Select Reserve, which is strange because I figured they would have one, just in general. What I can tell you, however, is that they appear to have a Talisker Sky single malt Scotch and a Talisker Storm single malt Scotch, which happen to be the exact same percentage as this Scotch is. Will it taste the same? I cannot say. There's also a wide range of age statements and different finish options, which I thought was interesting. So, maybe I'll be looking for those later someday. At any rate, the Whiskey Tribe video made me curious about it because I'm already enjoying this quite a bit. And now for the Game of Thrones fanatics. House Greyjoy rules the Iron Islands and worships the drowned god. The Ironborn make their home on bleak and blistery islands off the west coast of Westeros, whose unforgiving, desolate location shapes their lives. Unable to subsist solely on rock and land, these reavers take on the seas to make their fortune amidst salt and smoke. They acquire their riches not with gold, but by paying the iron price. If you don't know what that is, you should watch the series or read the books. I recommend reading the books. They're very long. Situated on the shores of the Isles of Skye, one of the most remote and rugged areas of Scotland, Talisker's layered flavours and signature maritime character are the result of its wave-battered shores. The western Isles of Skye is characterized by jagged peaks and windswept landscapes, which create this intense, smoky single malt Scotch with spicy, powerful, and sweet elements combined with maritime flavors. Flavors? Sure, flavors. Well, this was a pleasant surprise. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, I did watch a Whiskey Tribe video about Talisker, and that kind of piqued my curiosity a bit. Now I understand that it has piqued my curiosity a little bit more, so I will keep an eye out and start searching my area for different kind of Talisker options. Just to know that they're around. I'm not going to buy anything. I just went to Kentucky. I have no money. Well, there, folks. Another lovely Scotch whiskey from the Game of Thrones series. As always, live long and prosper. Don't forget to be awesome. And I will see you out there. Thank you for joining me on KillCo Whiskey Musings. You can find my social media and Patreon in the links below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.